18th over, his last over, where going into it, England needed 45 from 18 balls. You would say in this day and age that is doable. He comes in and he nails 6 Yorkers. 6 out of 6. Perfect score. England couldn't get him off the mat. They were only able to score singles and doubles off the over, and he ended up giving 6 runs in that over. And you go from 45 of 18 to now needing 39 of 12. And game was literally won in that over. Welcome back to the InBetweenOvers Podcast. We're your host for today's play. I'm Taran.
And I'm Ishaan.
Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel.
So the second semi-final of the T20 World Cup was played in Mumbai today against England and India. Who was going to meet New Zealand in the final was decided today, and what a match it was. England selecting to bowl first, chasing a big total against India, and it was a very close game. I think both sides played extremely, extremely smart and very confident cricket. I think it was a cracker of a game. Taran, what were your thoughts?
I definitely ran out of nails towards the end there. 100% believe India won this game because of Bumrah's magic in his last 2 overs, where he only gave 14 runs. At one point, England needed 50-ish out of 20, the last 20, 22 balls, or last 4 overs. And it looked like another big over, and you're talking England are ahead. And a couple of magical things happened. One, Bumrah's 2 overs, and the other was Akshar's catch off of Will Jacks to break that partnership, which really opened up the game completely for India. There's lots of things to talk about, which we will, but I wanted to start at the end there because my emotions were all over the place. I thought India had a really good target, and I didn't think England would come as close as they did. They really, really made a fight off it, and kudos to Jacob Bethell, who played innings of a lifetime as well.
Yeah. Quick shout out to the 22-year-old as well. He made a name for himself in the test format. Now definitely making a big name for himself in the T20 format. Huge future in the game. And it was a beautiful, beautiful innings, and definitely did force a lot of Indians to be on the edge of their seats. Incredible innings. But I do have to build off of your point there. The difference was Bumrah. It was very clear the difference was Bumrah. And what I think distinguishes Bumrah amongst not only the collection of the bowlers in this era, but I think even other eras as well, is that it doesn't matter the format. You could use Bumrah, you could bowl him with the new ball in the middle or at the end, and he will deliver. A lot of these bowlers, they're new, they bowl in the beginning, or sometimes they're just death bowlers, but to have the skill set to being able to be so transferable anywhere in the innings, where he is your get out of the jail free card. And it was basically Bumrah who was able to do it for India. And you're right, I definitely agree. Bumrah was the difference.
That 18th over, his last over, where going into it, England needed 45 from 18 balls. You would say in this day and age that is doable. He comes in and he nails 6 Yorkers. 6 out of 6. Perfect score. England couldn't get him off the mat. They were only able to score singles and doubles off the over, and he ended up giving 6 runs in that over. And you go from 45 of 18 to now needing 39 of 12. And game was literally won in that over. And it made it so challenging for England after that in the back too.
Yeah, he essentially made the last over irrelevant. I think that was really smart. You kind of break the momentum. You kind of put that doubt, not at the end. You don't take the match deep. You kind of abruptly end it almost earlier on. And yeah, giving Shivam Dube the last over was because it became irrelevant. I know, your thoughts about Axar Patel, but, they had left-handers and whatnot. But I think, given to Shivam Dube, they kind of knew, just bowl properly, don't give any no balls, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, Shivam Dube could get away with his economy of 23 against Zimbabwe in this game because he had 30 runs to play with. And I literally went into that last over thinking, Dube's got the ball. All he's got to do is bowl like he did against Zimbabwe, and we win the game.
But he bowled better than he did with Zimbabwe because he only averaged 20. Sorry, his economy is only 22.
Yeah, he did one better. He did one better for sure. So we definitely should unpack the game. Did we mention that Bumrah should have gotten the man of the match? Did we say that already? I can't even remember.
No, we didn't. We gave him the flowers, but we did see
Yeah.
a lot of that chatter online and even amongst us as well.
Yeah, I definitely feel Bumrah could have easily taken the man of the match, and we saw Samson give him his flowers at the man of the match award. We'll talk about Samson's innings, but he got the man of the match award, and in his presentation or in the presentation, he mentioned that Bumrah should be getting it, and I completely agree because on a wicket where it was a batter's paradise, let's call it, we had two batters. Well, we had one make 100, but we could have easily had two batters making hundreds here. And the other batters were able to go ham right from ball one. That doesn't happen on a wicket that's not a batter's paradise. And so for a bowler like Bumrah to give 33, I think he had the lowest economy rate amongst all bowlers and the most dot balls as well. I'm probably betting he's got the most dot balls for him to do that on this type of wicket is unreal. And I feel even though he only took a wicket, literally his overs won India the game.
Yeah, match winning performance by him. And, we'll talk about Sanju, but again, it was that sort of performance. And to your point, almost 500 runs in the entire game, 499. That's unheard of maybe 4 years ago in the T20 World Cup. It's not even, it's like, let alone a T20 game. So really, 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 important bowling figures from Bumrah.
All right, so starting at the top, England win the toss. They elect to field. And at this point, a lot of people are asking the question, is there going to be dew later on? And we heard Sky say it at the toss, saying that he would have batted. Sorry, he would have batted first as well, indicating that there was a lot of wind around, meaning there wouldn't be a lot of dew. I'd never heard that being said before. I'd love to hear more about that. I didn't know the wind had an impact on the dew, but I guess it does. So apparently he didn't expect it, and he knows the conditions. He's a Mumbai boy. He plays for Mumbai and Ranji, so and a lot of players on the team do as well, like Tilak Varma and others. So they know the conditions, and so it felt like okay, if the pitch played the way it does in both innings, you felt India had the edge, even though they were batting first. But yeah, India get in, and so all eyes on that top order again, Abhishek Sharma especially, and he gets the matchup that we will continue to see happen. We are going to see it in the final now with Cole McConkey probably opening the bowling against Abhishek Sharma. So he's got to figure a way out, and he again got a start ish. Again, did not look his fluent self, and he got out again to the off spinner.
Yeah, it's the same story over and over again. Unfortunate, but I think, as we said in the last podcast as well, it seems like he's a little too much in his head. I think he needs to play freely. I'm not sure what advice he's getting from, the dugout or even the coaching staff, but definitely in his head, and he needs to be free like as he was in the Asia Cup or as he was in IPL. Conditions are the same. It's not foreign conditions to him. He's playing in India. I wouldn't put it on technique or whether he's like a slogger or not. He knows how to bat. He's performed well in India. So it's just a matter of confidence and form in my eyes right now.
I think today's shot selection was a little on the poor side. It was the last ball of the over. He already scored two boundaries earlier in the over. I don't think he needed to go for a big shot. But at the same time, that's how he's always played. So it's very hard to just sit here and say that because his natural game is to go after every ball. But given the fact that he's had a run shortage and he's lacking a little bit of form, he needs more time in the middle. And like he did against Zimbabwe, where he took a little more time than usual and it turned into a 50. I feel he just needs to do a little bit of that until he gets that groove back.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think there is that motivation to maximize the power play, but you are getting to the tail end of the tournament. Your wicket is, a lot more valuable now because there's no more games after the final now. right? So, you should definitely, I get, it's much easier to say than do, and I do agree with that. But, you know, you gotta be smart, but you also gotta be natural as well. So it's important for him to balance both. And yeah, hopefully he's able to do that in the final. Because hey, let's be real. If he turns up for the final, if Abhishek Sharma turns up, India will win. Simple as that.
Damn, big statement. Speaking of big statements or big partnerships, Abhishek gets out and then Ishan Kishan strolls to the middle. Been a little short on runs last couple games, and he puts together which turned out to be a match-winning partnership for India with Sanju Samson. 97-run partnership in no time, 39 balls of 18 along with Sanju Samson, and really gave India the platform to then get to that 250 mark.
Yeah, no, and you love to see it happen in a left hand, right hand combination setup where fielders are switching up, bowlers are, having to readjust their line and lengths. You like seeing that happen because that's when it's a little chaotic, and they took advantage of it. You saw, I would say Sanju Samson being very classy, very, thoughtful, but whereas, Ishan Kishan was just being Ishan Kishan, just playing his shots, playing behind him as much as he could if he wanted to, pulling very well. He's in great form. I think it was such a smart selection choice to bring him into this World Cup. As he scored heaps of runs. I know he had a little bit of a dry spell in the middle, but you have these players up top now, inclusive of Abhishek Sharma. So you have Abhishek Sharma, Sanju Samson, Ishan Kishan. In my eyes, you need one of these players to click in a game to really, push the momentum in your favor. And if you have two people playing well, I think it's over. So I think India has really, really great batters. Sanju's in form, Ishan Kishan's in form. I just hope now, as we talked earlier, Abhishek Sharma joins that as well. But no, Ishan Kishan and Sanju Samson, again, both in form and just lovely, lovely batting to watch.
And for the second game in a row, that man from Kerala, another phenomenal innings. Little bit of luck this time from
Yes.
Captain Brook. He should have caught that, and it ended up being a very, very costly drop. Went on to score another 74 runs from there. And his 89 from 42 ended up being getting him the man of the match award. And it ended up being the innings that ended up standing out on top of Jacob Bethell's 100, even though it wasn't a century.
Yeah, and I love seeing Sanju get success. He's toiled all these years, and he's had literally two game winning knocks. Because let's not forget the last match was basically a quarterfinal. So in basically two do or die situations, India's investment in Sanju Samson has paid off in my eyes.
Yeah, and today's innings was very similar, barring the drop catch that Brook dropped. Barring that, the innings once again was outstanding. Classic Sanju Samson shots, still at the crease, playing the ball on merit, timing the ball to perfection, brute force, just pure sublime touch and finesse in his stroke making. And that's two games in a row where we got to watch that, and it was definitely a treat this time around as well.
No, no, exactly that, exactly that. And now, of course, in classic GG fashion, because you can't leave a game without his little fingerprints all over it. He changes up the batting order, and you had Shivam Dube coming in at 4. I know we've seen that like a little bit of times. I think here back in there, especially in the IPL, sometimes we did see him earlier on. But Shivam Dube at 4 before Sky, before Pandya, before Tilak Verma, and he played pretty well.
Yeah, and we're starting to see this more and more now, where when oppositions have leg spinners in their team, we tend to see left-handers come up, specifically Shivam Dube. And that's one of his strengths, is to play spinners really well, especially the ones spinning into him. And I think he was the reason why he was sent up is to tackle Adil Rashid, who you could argue is England's top or trump card, along with Jofra Archer, who had an off day, but Adil Rashid was looking decent on this wicket. And Shivam Dube coming in was able to counter that because he was able to simply play through the line of the ball and play with the spin.
Yeah, yeah. Great, great selection choice coming up there. Then Sky coming in, Sky playing, 11 off 6. Again, this guy does not look that convincing in this World Cup. I think he's had like a few glimpses here and there, but we hope to maybe see him turn the corner in the final where he makes that match-winning knock.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. I think he came in out of position today, and he came in at a time when India were looking for quick runs. There were like 5 overs or so left when he came in, so I'm not too perturbed by it. He'll be all right. His innings didn't matter as much because he had good support from Hardik Pandya and Tilak Varma, who's looking more and more the finisher that had in Rinku Singh, and I feel bad for Rinku Singh because it's looking less likely for him to get into this lineup, at least for the final. I don't see him coming back in. I think his tournament's done, which is unfortunate for him, but Tilak Varma is looking real good in that position. Just faced 7 balls, but striked at 300, 3 sixes, 21 runs. That's what you need at that position.
Yeah, you have him alongside Hardik Pandya, who also scored at a blistering strike rate of over 200, 225. You need that at the end for the runs itself, don't get me wrong, but also for the momentum. As the innings change over, you want to go into the dressing room a little pumped up, a little, happy with your performance. And a team that's maybe, I think we saw at the end of India's innings, I think it was Tilak Verma who scored, I think, 3 sixes off of Archer's last over or maybe penultimate over. That kind of swayed the momentum, and you need that, especially going into, the second innings of the semifinal. So I think, yeah, it was really, really great batting, and I hope Tilak Verma's comfortable where he's batting because he's batting extremely well.
Yeah, so you had obviously had a batter's paradise, or road you could call it, but could England have done anything differently with the ball?
See, I think if you look back, I don't think you could fault England's batting too much, but I think you could maybe look at their bowling one more time. But when you look at it again, I don't know. I've always been a little hesitant on Sam Kerr in this tournament. I think his career's done in T20 format in my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big shout. I don't think he's had a great tournament at all. I don't know, if you could have replaced him. I don't know with who. I know Overton came in. He was expensive with no wickets. That obviously was a mistake on their end. Did you gamble? Do you gamble with an alternative spinner? I don't know, but it just seemed like from a bowling department, England's bowling was not threatening enough for India.
Yeah, India definitely have the edge in with the ball when it comes to the two bowling lineups. I think England have two trump cards in Jofra Archer and Adil Rashid, but they needed both of them to do well today. And I feel Jofra Archer had an off day. He didn't look very good with the new ball. He was a bit on the shorter side, in my opinion. I think he needed to be a little more full. He didn't really any of the swing that was there, which we saw later on where when Hardik was bowling, where he bowled slightly fuller and was able to swing the ball from that length, which we saw in the wicket of Phil Salt, which was a ball that swung away from Phil Salt, getting the edge. We didn't see much of that from Archer. I think he could have taken advantage of that movement, early swing that was there in the earlier overs. And because he was on the shorter side, Samson was just able to sit back and just carve him either over a point or pull him. And one of the push shots was sublime. Like he timed that to perfection. And the ball that he almost got him out on was a slightly fuller ball where Samson mistimed it and Brooke unfortunately dropped the catch. But we didn't see enough of that. And even Jamie Overton, when he was given the ball in the power play, he went cross seam right away. He wasn't even looking to swing the ball. He just was trying to get his ball in the areas that he wanted to and not worry about the swing, which I thought was the wrong move. I thought they should have taken advantage of whatever swing and movement was there because you needed wickets in the power play to have any chance of restricting the batting side to a more chaseable target.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You gotta expose India's middle order early on, and so that just could not be done to a certain degree. And to your point, they needed both strike bowlers to come out with wickets. Archer unfortunately was not able to do that. So, at the end of it, a very healthy score for India. Don't get me wrong, 253 for 7. Coming out of it, it did seem like India had enough runs. No?
Absolutely. I thought this was a match winning score, even though the batting surface looked so true. I felt that with India's bowling lineup, they'd be able, and with runs on the board, you're essentially asking England to go hard the entire innings, which adds more pressure and induces more mistakes. So I just felt India had too much. You don't see the score being chased too often. It happens, but I felt that was gonna take a Herculean effort to knock this target off. And we almost saw that, but at the break, didn't felt very comfortable. I didn't feel that England had the ability to overcome Bumrah and Chakravarti.
No, same here as well. I think I was very confident in the way India batted. I thought anything over 250. I think I may have mentally said to myself, in the 13-14 over, I think 250 plus was a game-winning knock here. But England made India sweat. England played great cricket. I know we mentioned him in the beginning. Jacob Bethell played the knock of his life. Joss Butler played extremely well as well. Some good performance of Will Jacks. But overall, England definitely made India fight for this win, and it was a great match to watch because of it.
Yeah, it was England needed one more batter outside of
Yep.
Jacob Bethell to do something, and they had it in Will Jacks until Axar Patel took his second phenomenal catch of the game. We'll talk about the first one, but his second phenomenal catch where he's literally herring across the boundary line, not dives, stretches his hands to catch the ball, realizes that his momentum is too strong, that he may be going outside the boundary, sees Shivam Dube from the corner of his eye, and nonchalantly tosses the ball to him as he goes out of play, comes back in, and while Shivam Dube completes the catch. That felt like the game-changing moment of the match because of the momentum that Will Jacks and Bethel had at that time, where every over they were scoring lots of boundaries, and sixes. I think they were easily hitting that 14, 15 run and over mark. And it needed something special, and you got that from Akshar Patel. But Will Jacks's innings, if he was able to stick around, I we would have had an even tighter finish than we ended up having.
Yeah, no, that partnership was definitely making India uneasy, and it was important for that, wicket to come through. I think what worked for India was they were able to get those wickets when the pressure was extremely high. And it was because, as we mentioned, there was not too many drop catches. I think if Akshar Patel dropped either catch, and we wouldn't fault him for dropping either because they were both tough catches. If he dropped either catch, I think this game could have gone to England's side.
Oh yeah, yeah, catches win matches, and you look at both fielding performances, right? India take their catches, majority of them. I think there was maybe one drop catch, if I remember correctly, in the Indian innings, but they took all the catches that probably shouldn't have been catches. Whereas England dropped sitters. We had Brooke dropping a sitter, and you could argue Banton's catch. I think it was off of Hardik, if I remember correctly, where he was diving forward. You could say it was a difficulty level was higher than a straightforward chance, but it was definitely lower than both of Akshar's Patel's catches, right? And so you'd expect him to take it at this level. And so that ended up being a difference maker in the game too, the fielding on both sides. England just dropped way too many catches, or more catches, I should say, than India, and India took theirs, especially the tough ones, and none more than the two Akshar Patel catches. And let's talk about the first one. So we talked about the second one. So in the first one, you have Harry Brook, who we all know is a game changer. Just imagine him and Bethel being out there for 5, 6 overs. Who knows what the score would have been. Harry Brook, Umrah's first ball, uh, gets a decent amount of bat on it, and you feel like, okay, he's cleared the infield here, no problem. Until you see Akshar once again herring full speed with his neck up, trying to keep his eye on the ball at full speed. And at this point, he's running towards the boundary line. And this is not an easy angle to run and look at the ball at the same time. And he made it look so easy, not only sprinting to get to where the ball would be, but then timing his dive to perfection and then landing to perfection as well, not allowing his elbows to bounce on the ground to pop the ball up. It was beautiful to watch. Definitely a 10 out of 10 for difficulty level, but he made it look so easy. And in my opinion, that's the catch of the tournament.
100%. It's such a difficult catch. We talk about it off the line as well. The mechanics behind it, the timing of it, it's again, we talked about this, could arguably be tougher than one of those, instant reflex catches, right? So it's difficult from a skill level. And again, they were able to do it, Axar Patel was able to, execute very well. And that was the difference, really, getting those wickets, changing momentum, breaking those partnerships. So I think it was definitely a tough pitch to bowl on. And the difference had to come from your fielding, which India did.
Whenever it felt like England had the edge, India found a way to knock them back down. That's what it felt like. Every time England felt like, okay, they might get ahead here, India comes back and gets a wicket, does something magical in the field, and England go back down again. And that's what we saw throughout this innings. But there was one man that stood out for England. The reason why they got so close, Jacob Bethell. Just about a year and a half ago or less, he played he was playing international cricket with zero centuries in any format across domestic cricket. And he was already capped in all formats in England. A lot of people question, how is this even possible? I thought about that too. Growing up, you always talk about it. As a batter, you're not leveling up unless you score 100.
Yeah.
He makes it to the highest level of cricket without scoring a professional century in his life. Fast forward a year and a bit later, he now has a century in each of the formats in international cricket, but still doesn't have a domestic century. Go figure.
Go figure. And getting a century, we know, in each format internationally is super tough. A lot of players dream for that, right? So it's super, super tough. We know how difficult it is. And it just goes to show what a talented 22-year-old he is.
I don't know what his one day 100 was against, but I do know his test match 100 was in the Ashes against Australia, against a lineup consisting of Stark, Lyon, and Bolden, maybe not Cummins, but a really good Australian bowling attack. And then now he has a T20 100 against an Indian bowling attack consisting of Jasprit Bumrah, one of the all-time greats, and Varun Chakravarti, one of the best spinners going around in the world right now. And he has 100 against them. And he's only, what, 22, 23?
In both of their homes.
In both of the backyards. That's right. That's right. Unbelievable. In pressure situations when
Yeah.
his team has their backs against the walls and he's the one standing up.
Yeah. Kudos to him. And again, you get these players very rarely, but I think it's pleasant to see that, I wouldn't put Harry Brook yet in the same category as Root, but I can see people try making the argument for Bethel's promise. So I think
Yes.
it'll be interesting to see for his career.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go, but I definitely, I think I was sharing this in one of our group chats that he literally has the ability to be one of the greats of the game, not only for England, but in world cricket. He could go down as being talked about alongside a Sachin or Ricky Ponting. I know it's big things to say right now, but when you watch him bat and you see his ability, you see the way he's able to score runs in pressure situations when again, his team is down. They need someone to stand up, and he's able to do it. If he's able to continue this, it's I'm also saying it because he's so young, and so if he's doing this now, imagine what he could do with like, more experience, more maturity, or developed skills. Not only in his batting, but just physical skills. Like when you look at him, you feel like he could become an even better athlete, and that may translate to him being a better batter, right? So yeah, the world is at his oyster right now, and or the world's at his fingertips, I should say right now. Got that saying wrong. But the world is at his fingertips, and he has it in him to be one of the goats.
No, I totally agree. Flipping the coin now to look at India's bowling performance. So obviously India using 6 bowlers. We looked at the stand-up performances of, for example, Jasprit Bumrah. We did acknowledge Shivam Dube's last over as well, 22 runs, but hey, just enough to get over the line. What do you think about Pandya, Arshdeep Singh, Varun, Axar Patel, and their bowling performances? I know, for example, Varun was getting questioned and 16 economy, 1 wicket, questions on him potentially.
Warren has had a terrible few games. I think the the way he's getting hit is concerning. I thought overall the spinners were a little too short in length today for some reason. Chakravarti especially. I don't know if at the same time the flip side to it is you couldn't be too full. There wasn't a lot of room for error here. You had to get your length spot on, but it was such a true wicket that if you missed that good length by just a little bit, you could just rock back as a batsman and either pull or cut. And we saw that against Varun today in all the spinners, but especially Varun. And it's concerning the ease at which batters are able to score sixes against him lately. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if they're able to pick him up, or maybe he doesn't have the same rhythm that he has had in from earlier in over the past year and a half. Here's hoping that he's able to conjure up something against New Zealand, because New Zealand are going to come hard against him as well. So hopefully he figures that out. The rest of the bowling, I think they try just try to stay in there and try to hit their lengths each time. They, I think, acknowledged that they were gonna get hit, and they just tried their best to hang in there, and they did. They were helped by Bumrah, again, the standout bowler. If it wasn't for him, I think this game would have gone England's way. So shout out to the bowlers for just hanging in there, figuring it out. And also shout out to Hardik Pandya, because Bumrah bowled
Yeah.
well, but so did Hardik Pandya. He went under 10 and over. He took two crucial wickets to a first bowler of Phil Salt, who is dangerous. And then he came back at the end, getting Sam Curran out. I think it was the second last over that he bowled, where England, it still was doable. They needed 39 runs. You can easily get 220-run overs and win a game. But he was able to pull a really, really clutch second last over, which then left Shivam Dube with more than enough to defend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And just very quickly on Varun Chakravarti. I don't know. I think Gautam Gambhir will likely stick with him on the squad. It is the final coming up, but I would not be surprised if Kuldeep comes in. I don't see any issue. I would not have any issue with that. I think sometimes confidence going into the final is super important. So if Varun is really not feeling confident, I think you bring in Kuldeep because will definitely have something to prove at that point. Coming in for a final, a lot of, he's an experienced player as well, but I would definitely say like Kuldeep coming in would not surprise me.
I feel at this stage you have to back the players that you've picked so far. I feel it's too late to make a change unless you try to rely on past performances. I don't know how Kuldeep did it. I don't remember how Kuldeep did against that series in New Zealand, which I believe just happened before the T20,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Before the T20, they played that 5-match series. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be extremely hard to see them make a change. I would probably just keep my faith in Varun and give him this game, because I would, if I remember correctly, New Zealand didn't do too well against him in that 5-match series either.
No, they didn't. They did not. But also, I thought the same thing. England didn't fare well against him either in the series before that, or was it after?
Fair enough.
Again,
Yeah.
again, I just think Varane is short of confidence. I don't think it's skill. I don't think people are picking him. I just think I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe they've solved him, right? But it just seems like he's not as effective as how he usually is, or as he was maybe 6 months ago.
So talking about the final preview, it's gonna be India versus New Zealand. It's gonna be a repeat of the Champions Trophy, essentially, where India faced New Zealand. Different squads, obviously, it's different players. No Rocco in the Indian lineup. But how do you see the matchups taking place in this?
So I think in terms of matchups, I think you mentioned one at the beginning. Abhishek Sharma against. The pronunciation always gets me. You're gonna help me, Taran.
Cole
The
McConkey? Cole McConkey.
Cole McConkey against Cole McConkey. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. But I would take, I would say just sticking outside the matchup right now, my wild card, my black horse for New Zealand, I think is if Rachin Ravindra shows up. I think it would be an interesting game. I think he's due for, one of those big innings. I think he had some healthy runs last game as well, but obviously getting overshadowed. But I think Rachin Ravindra, if I look back at, for example, the Champions Trophy final, he didn't make a dent against India. But I think, if he pulls up, I think it could be very, very interesting how then he will fit in terms of like adding that extra firepower for New Zealand.
That's a great X Factor shout. For me, I'm going to go with Finn Allen again. And I know he just came off of magical 100 that's probably not going to get repeated for a long time. But India hasn't really played him or bowled against him because in that 5-match series, if you all remember, Finn Allen was at the BBL still. He only played in the dead rubber after India won the series. And so, and I'm fairly certain he scored some runs in that game. So India hasn't really played him recently, and he's in magical form. And both him and Seifert have had great partnership throughout this tournament. Not only with the one against South Africa, but there was that game against UAE where New Zealand ended up winning by 10 wickets, and both of them scored high 80s, I believe, and easily won New Zealand that match, even though they were chasing a fairly competitive target. It'll be interesting to see the plans that India have against Finn Allen. I feel spin has to be the way against him. But who do you bowl in that power play if you're looking at a spinner? It would have to be Axar Patel, I would think, with the ball moving away from Finn Allen. So that is going to be an interesting matchup. Some other matchups that are going to be super interesting is Mitchell Santner against
Mhm.
the middle order as well of India. He's been phenomenal with his length and lines. He may not be a wicket taker. I think he only has 2 or 3 wickets in this tournament, but he's going in an economy of 6.5, which is mind-boggling, right? So that's going to be an interesting matchup. And then from a bowling standpoint of India's bowling against the New Zealand batters, I talked about the openers, and then you mentioned Rachin, but that middle order of New Zealand's not bad either. Chapman's found some form lately. Daryl Mitchell has been his consistent best.
Yeah.
I don't think he's had a big score yet, and we all know how much he loves playing India. So he's someone to watch out for. And then you have Santner once again with the bat, who's been very reliable at that number 7, number 8 spot where he just comes in and is able to score runs. And then you have the two wild cards in their all rounders, McConkey and Nisham. Dimi Nisham is a wild card as well. He has the ability to score runs. So it's going to be a fantastic match. I think New Zealand came out of nowhere. I don't think anyone expected them to be in the final, but here we are talking about an India versus New Zealand final again. Different formats, but same teams. And a New Zealand team that just somehow manages to make it to the semis or the finals in most ICC tournaments in the last 5 to 10 years. They've consistently been able to do it.
Yeah, you gotta count the Champions Trophy final as well, and then layer that on top of their population, extremely, extremely well. I think you made some great points. I think on Finn Allen, I think that you're entirely right. That's gonna be super, super interesting. But also for the fact that Finn Allen has never played in the IPL. He has no IPL experience. He's played in the PSL, for example, but he's not playing the IPL. So some of these bowlers, I don't know, is he used to Varun? Is he used to Akshar? Is he used to Kuldeep? I think it'd be interesting, but yeah, it's gonna be really, really interesting. But yeah, Finn Allen, I think he was part of the PSL setup last year, but not the IPL.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought he was in the IPL, just never got a chance. But that's a great fact. I didn't know that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that game unfolds. It's going to be an entertaining final, that's for sure. We can't wait to bring it to you. Until then, that stuffs.